Hi, I'm Randy Bergman. Now, I want you to picture this with me. You're sitting outside a coffee shop, sipping on your Frappuccino, and then suddenly, a mutant cloned army approaches and starts destroying and attacking anyone and everything in their way. Okay, this might be a bit of a stretch, but we could potentially see herds of cloned animals such as this. Now, they might not put up as big of a threat as a mutant clone army, but they do pose threats to us. So they reduce a large herd of cloned animals reduces genetic diversity, which could threaten the food chain in general. So with this kind of threat, you would think that there would be very strict laws and regulations on cloned animals. However, it's exactly the opposite. The laws about cloned animals are not very well defined. So let's go back and explore why we would clone animals, why it's harmful to clone animals, and what laws and regulations should and have been put into place. So, why would we want to clone animals? Well, researchers hope that in the future we could potentially put into place put clone animals into agriculture. So, according to an article by the National Human Genome Research Institute, they could clone animals and put them into agricultural production. So if a farmer had a very high producing cow, dairy cow, and he wanted a whole herd of very high producing cows, they could potentially clone that cow and have a whole herd of very high producing dairy cows. So that all sounds great and cherry, but then if a farmer had a whole herd of genetically identical cows, and according to an article by the BBC, if a disease came and rushed through the farm, the whole herd would be affected by that same disease in the same way and could potentially kill off the whole farm, impacting not only the food supply, but the farmer's finances and the economy in general. Also, it has been shown that clones of animals seem to have increased organ defects and decreased immune systems. So if a farmer had the whole herd of a genetically identical clones, they would already be more susceptible to diseases that could wipe them all out. So not only are they have problems with their organs, but it's also very expensive and inefficient to produce clones. Take, for example, Dolly, the first clone, and according to an article by Roxanne Miller published in 2006 with the National Science Teachers Association, Dolly the sheep was the first clone, and she was born in 1996. Now, she was one of almost 300 cells that were produced to try to clone her, and she was the only success. So as you can see, it's very inefficient to clone animals, and it really hasn't gotten much better as time has gone on since she was developed. So the benefits really don't seem to outweigh the disadvantages of cloning animals. So not only are they bred with a poor quality of life with their reduced organ function and reduced immune system, but it's also expensive and inefficient to produce clones. So even though it's expensive, inefficient, and all these problems with them, it's still legal to produce clones and put them on market. So according to an article by the Center for Food Safety, in January of 2008, the Food and Drug Administration approved the use of clones in products such as meat and milk and other animal products. And these products do not have to be labeled that they contain these cloned animals. So the freedom of choice for consumers to choose what products they want has been taken from them. The FDA even admits that in their own studies, much of the products produced by the clones are unsafe to be consumed by people. So why would they even allow these cloned animals to be used? Thus, I believe that we should have stricter laws placed on cloned animals and that there should be very strict regulations on what can and can't be used. Honestly, I think that cloned animals and their offsprings shouldn't be used in products at all until we understand the full extent of what their impact on us consuming them is. And at the least, companies should at least have to label their products if they contain or have cloned or the offspring or lineages of cloned animals in them. That way, way, consumers can make an informed decision on what they're buying and what kind of products they're consuming, so that they can choose if the product is safe for themselves and their families. In my opinion, I don't think many people know the full extent that clones have on our society and the full issues surrounding this cloned generation, I guess you could say. So I encourage all of you to keep up on this topic, and I hope I've informed you a little bit, at least, about the impact of clones that they can have on our society and our economy. So, thank you.
Thanks. All right.
And then here is my audience. Dun, dun. And then Heather back